Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you're free to pick up the telephone and give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175. And we're on YouTube. This is Real FM 91.5. We encourage you to share, tell others about us, because one of the frequencies not operating. And subscribe to Real FM. You have the opportunity to change the topic, interrupt us in the middle of a sentence, ask any questions you want, and challenge what we see. We believe that more and more radio personalities must propagate that which is true. And if we form an opinion and we have new information, we change in our opinion. We're in an environment now, because I believe the government is practically creating the platform, the environment for rumors to run around. Because the government is not answering basic questions. And when you don't answer these questions, speculation and rumors are going to run wild. Instead of answering the questions, the government may be trying to intimidate. They cannot silence people. We might be intimidating them or trying to shut down the voices of the people. And with the technology that is available, you fail already. You have to remember that Maurice Bishop tried that during the revolution, and over 3,000 people was imprisoned. A similar number had to flee the country to avoid detention. Some people were put in prison and treated very bad. The Rastafarians in the country was treated very badly. And there was evidence of people getting murdered. The sister from Brudge castrated, broke. Target practice was taken on the feet of Mikey. So we applaud, we welcome, and we intend to guard our democratic process, because we can speak without fear of imprisonment. Whatever little challenges will be insignificant to what people have paid for it before. We believe that during the revolution, Maurice Bishop could have been salvaged, because he had good ideas. He was an orator, very charismatic, and people loved him dearly. But I always blame Mr. Blaze. Maurice Bishop did not want the people from Carriacou to be angry with him. He had a lot of support there. So Mr. Blaze could have speak out. Mr. Blaze stayed on his rocking chair and rock. He never speak out when Dr. Japal and Kenny Lalsine and Otway and others were victimized and imprisoned. He stayed quiet. And many of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, they hail Maurice Bishop and they ignore the comments coming from Grenada. I believe the diaspora could have helped us better, and they would have helped to contribute to Maurice Bishop not going down the Marxist-Leninist way. He did. He paid the ultimate price. Maurice Bishop hid behind women and children all his life. Every time he called a demonstration, he sent trucks in the schools to pick up children. He hid behind children and women. even in the last lap, he did not let the women from the fort go. He knew a battle was coming. He evoked the Angola option, and he knew there would be death. He said the revolution would continue, but not with all of them. So Maurice Bishop was preparing for battle. He rearmed himself on the fort, and he had women with him. And he refused to ask them to leave the fort. Bishop was a coward. Bishop felt as long as the women were there, the Kodites wouldn't attack him. But the Kodites' life was in danger because Maurice Bishop evoked the Angola option. He was a coward. I know many would like to make him a hero because he was such a great orator. When he spoke, people cried. When he laughed, they laughed. And he was very charismatic. Handsome red man. All the women loved him. But he was a criminal. And he was a coward. And the people in the diaspora, you knew that. There are times you have to ask questions. Some of our Grenadian, when we speak about the diaspora, we speak of our brothers and sisters in alien land. The spread of people from the original homeland. Grenada is the original homeland. They're in Trinidad and America and England and Frankfurt and Cancun and all over the globe. They have a role to play in the development of our country. They love our country. When they're in the diaspora, every day their mind is on Grenada. Perhaps even more so than when they're in Grenada. But they must ask questions. Today we want you to ask questions. You are interacting with Dick Mitchell and his team more than Grenadians. Because he's not answering questions in Grenada. In Grenada, the government policies, information is in a need-to-know basis. So they're not telling you. So we're asking you in the diaspora, what do you make of the government management of the insurance money they receive? 14 days after burial, they receive millions of dollars. And that money must come as a result of the houses that have been destroyed and agriculture. They got money for that. Electricity got money for the electricity infrastructure. Water got money for water infrastructure. And the government got money 14 days after burial to address the challenges of the people who lost their roof and those who lost in agriculture. The government seems to be doing everything else with that money besides seriously and expeditiously helping the people who are suffering. Those who have lost houses are from Carriacou and St. Patrick's, principally. Obviously, it is more intensive in Carriacou because it is more concentrated, but a number of people have been affected in Grenada. Government practically ignore the people of St. Patrick's that have lost their homes. And at that stage, much more should have been done to help to put back the roof of people. A lot of rumor is running wild in Grenada. Some of them cannot be true. But because the government is not answering questions, it doesn't help the situation. You're not answering question. So you in the diaspora, you could ask. You could avoid the situation that occurred in Grenada during 79-83. Because the warning signs was there. You could avoid that. And you could ask the government question. If you are asking them that, that may help them to change. You could beg them to drop the price on screws. Grenadians should not be building back houses. They should not be putting back roofs with galvanized nail anymore. We have heard from our own agricultural export or local export that one screw is as strong as 10 nails. But the screws are expensive. Nails is cheaper. So in the strive for people to build back their homes, they're using what they get. Government could remove the taxes on screws and that which is necessary to put the screw in the galvanized, in the roof. In the long run, economically, it would be much better. It makes no sense that you're putting back these roofs with nails again. It doesn't mean that the hurricane can show down the whole place. But it's more likely that less roof will tumble. The government, they won't listen to us. But if you in the diaspora ask any builder, any good builder you meet, ask them if it is not better and wiser and stronger to use screws rather than nails. Any builder that worth the salt. And if they tell you yes, screws is better, then perhaps you could advise Deacon to do it. If you advise him, he's here. His head is hard as Google Lame. Because he is not interested. He's very hostile towards the people in the lower income group. While we on that, you could ask him, what is the policy on the e-money? What we are hearing on the ground, that those who reach 35 have to go. This is unacceptable. The United Nations decided that youth is 14 to 25. Most organizations, most government, trade union decided youth is 15 to 35. The new National Party under Dr. Keith Mitchell say youth is 15 to 39 years. So if the Imani program started 15 years ago or 10 years ago and you join at 39, that means you have 49-year-old and 50-year-old in the Imani program. This government playing hide and seek. That is psychological and mental torture. Now we are hearing with greater regularity that those who over 35 must go. This government has been firing people in droves. Over 3,000 people lost their jobs in the first year. 31 workers from the Granba estate was fired within months. After the government set them up and tell them the estate is targeted, likely to be targeted for growing weed. And they feel good. Then they fire them. About 10 to 12 workers was fired from the pest management unit, specifically dealing with source of management. Up to today, 2 years since the government is there. The government refused to have a meeting with source of exporters. And we don't have much exporters, maybe 10, 12 of them. The government refused to have a meeting with them. Right now, pretty larceny galore in that industry. Farmers, the one situation where farmer cut down about 2 acres of saucer. I wouldn't call the farmer name on radio because shame. That could never be right. Not because it's the farmer's land, it could never be right. If had I known that before, I would have given the farmer some advice how to minimize predial larceny in his saucer. Yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, scholar.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, man.
I am a very avid listener to your program, but first-time caller.
Right. Thank you very much.
Your program makes so much sense. You speak facts. Your callers speak the truth. But one of the most, Mr. Pierre, one of the most popular questions that is asked today in our country, since after burial, what has happened to all of the money that Grenada had received for the relief of the people that had been impacted by misburial? I could recall that I heard where the government of Grenada had received over 40 million US dollars from an insurance that was signed on to in 2007 by the previous administration. Besides that, I heard that Dominica gave $1 million. I'm not too sure if it is in USD or EC, but $1 million. It is alleged that the police force had received over $30,000 in relief funding for the repair of the police station in Carriacou. I notice I said alleged. But the question is still asked, why is it that the government of Grenada hasn't started the rebuilding process in Carriacou and Pitimatnik, even St. Patrick and other parts of Grenada, mainland that was impacted? Why are they putting out a relief funding GoFundMe kind of thing? Why are they designing a special building for the people who has already had an existing building? You know, these are some questions, and as you just said, they're opening up for speculation because they are not answering questions. And they think when you ask those questions that you are hated of them, that you hate them. No, it's not a matter that you hate the government or the prime minister or anybody. But they told us in the campaign that they're going to get rid of nepotism. They're going to get rid of political hate. And despite they said they're going to get rid of tribalism and all of that. But guess what, Mr. Pierre? What I'm seeing, what I'm witnessing, that the same things that they said that the former administration had been involved in, which I cannot, and they cannot give us any evidence that they had been involved in those corrupt practices. That's what I see that they are practicing today. So as I'm about to rest my case, I want you to respond to this. What has they done with the money, and why is it that they are putting people through this tribulation? You know, and even it's alleged that they put money in the bank, that people go and borrow. Well, if that's the case, if that's true, where are the people in Carriacou and Pitimatnik employed? Where are they employed so that they could get money to pay back their loans? I rest my case. Thank you, sir.
Yes, scholar, you're correct. We are very, very troubled. That insurance money was received 14 days after burial. The rank and file Grenadian wasn't even aware that government used to pay our insurance. It tells you how thoughtful, how meticulous, and how well Gregory Bowen and the ministry was. So this government came into power and they met so much money in the treasury, they whine, they dance, they jump up, and they just start to spend the money recklessly. They spend money to pay a bill that the court determined they did not have to pay. They claim it was for good relationship. Well, that is bribery. The government was traveling. One minister traveled 24 times in 23 months. The only person who traveled more than her is the Prime Minister. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. We lost that caller.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, my brother, go ahead.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
How are you doing?
Great, man.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, it will be remiss of me. You see, sometimes when we give that information, we have to give out factual information. Now, I heard you've been asking about the taxes on the materials.
Nails and screws.
Yeah, I think the government they put a 100% waiver on some of these things. They have furniture and they have home appliances and galvanized. So I think.
So screws covering it.
Yeah. Because they say building materials. I think these things will be under building materials. So I have to be very honest. They are doing that. The problem with that is how they show that in a kind of secrecy, because
Well, people have to know that.
right.
Because I bought screws
like
yesterday and I paid VAT on it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that has to be. Well, what they are saying is that you have to be in the rebuilding process. So you have to be somebody that is affected by the.
Of course, about 30 nails jump up from the roof and I'm using the screws to reinforce my roof.
So I guess you have to.
You have to apply for it.
Maybe, right? So the reason why I'm saying that they are shredding information in a sense that I don't know if it's just to put us alone they want for that, or if they're doing it purposely. Because this morning I have noticed something. Well, last night the Prime Minister had 2 engagements this morning with 2 media houses, and last night I saw this release for this morning, and that was after 11. But lo and behold, there was also a press conference with Honorable Lennox Andrew. And on the GIS page, that was not released until this morning, like about after 9. So I don't know if there's a disconnect with the members of parliament, if there's a disconnect with GIS, or if they are purposely doing these things to make one person look good and one person look bad. It is clear to me that there's a disconnect with cooperation and information being disseminated with these members. Because you have members of parliament, you have ministers putting out things on their personal Facebook pages, not government page, their personal pages, disparaging other members of parliament. The members of parliament being Honorable Francis Pierre. The goodly lady put out a post asking for urgent intervention in building houses for people. Because we are hearing that these guys are giving out tents, and we are seeing that, right? You have a member of parliament, the Minister of Clerical Affairs, coming in and disparaging and making some silly remarks, and it doesn't make sense. What you're trying to defend? This gentleman is a young chap in politics. This is about the second year in politics. This gentleman has told so many lies since day one. He lied about his bank account. He lied about things happening to his vehicle. I mean, come on. Then I listened to the PM this morning again, and he was asked a question on one of the programs about the prison and young people in the prison, and they need to reform the prison and what they have to do, and don't get young people in there with longer prison terms. But yet you have a gun amnesty that want to jail people for 50 and 60 years. These people are giving you information. They are giving information two-sided. So they tell you one thing in one way and another thing in another way. So they are not, to me, they are not coming cohesively and giving a good account of themselves. They all over the place, all of them. So you have the one in the south saying something for yourself, the one in Carriacou saying something for yourself, the one in St. George Northeast. They are doing things independently, and you cannot run a government or a country like that. That's a sign of chaos. And you, like you rightly said, Mr. Pierre, we don't want to go back to this 1979-83 period. But these guys, the signs are there. If the enemies are in their footsteps, they are their own enemies, right? And they are they have people online putting out documents saying them as borrower, saying them as lender, them as donor, and they ain't working no way. I mean, all these things. There are things that you can get yourself in trouble for by putting yourself in trouble. If you, Mr. Pierre, is stating to people that you are not working anyway publicly, you are stating that you are not working anyway publicly, where can you get money to borrow people, to lend people as a financial institution? And tell me why is the FIU is not investigating that? Does that make any sense to you?
It doesn't. A lot of things the government do don't make any sense. A lot of things they do, and that's why we are so clouded with hatred that we cannot see through these little things that is not making sense to the greater public. This country has gotten enough money for the last couple of days and months to help and start reproduction of buildings in a hasty manner. We are going into September, right? Right now, you realize they stopped doing the gala and they stopped gala because they realize now that would be a bad look on them. But for the first 2 years, they were squandering money. They were squandering money. Now they go and take a supplementary budget now to feed what? To do what? When the Prime Minister was asked, he said, well, part of the rebuilding process, some of these monies would be allocated. So what happened to the 1 billion you make from CBI or AMI, whatever you want to call it? What happened to the 44 million you get? What happened to the 100,000 you get? What happened to the 35,000 you get? What happened to the hurricane fund? I mean, this doesn't make sense. You guys getting money and not seeing where you're going. And I remember, lastly, before I go, I remember after the COVID, Dr. Mitchell had put $10 million, right, in the GDP bank for people that want to go and take a loan to start their businesses, like public servants who want to take a loan and build a house. And the same Dr. Mitchell, who's not Prime Minister, talk against that. Saying we could be poor and that's a bad thing and all kind of nonsense. But you tell people no, go and take a loan in the bank or in the same GDP bank, because if you get grant and loan to build your house, make that make sense. Like if you just forget. Mr. Pierre, have a good afternoon. Yes, and I think that would be a challenge and a discussion over the next couple of days, what the government doing with its money. During my lifetime, I've seen people gone to the great beyond and leave a lot of money and positive business for the children. And under 3 years, the children were broke. Some of the children went to as far as Las Vegas and gamble. The parents never even travel. So I think in England today, some people are asking to charge inheritance tax, because some of people that inherit plenty wealth from their parents, they only squander the money. This government from day one has been behaving as never see come see. They has been behaving as people who inherit money they don't work for. They went and meet a treasury. And for the first time in the history of Grenada, a government came to power and was satisfied with the quantum they met in the treasury. The government had to whine and dance. They say Kit Mitchell had to stupid to leave all this money there. He thought he'll come back. Not recognizing. And they said, don't worry, we'll go pay all the pension. Instead of paying the pension in tranche, giving people a little bit of cash and giving them, because you are paying people who are not likely to spend the money, and encouraging the financial institution that is very liquid to buy the bonds and etc. The government paid all the money and the people put back the money right in the financial institution, and they're not getting any interest or hardly any interest. So it tells you these individuals are not business savvy. They never see come see. They're greedy and they're arrogant. the Minister of Legal Affairs, I don't know if she had a rude awakening, but she said we're going to cause serious damage to the economy. And then she put a qualifier, irreparable damage. And Deacon has not taken the hint. In fact, Deacon Mitchell decided to raid the GDB Bank. They flaunt the law with impunity and raid the bank. And we have been asking for the directors of the bank to resign. Because the directors of the bank, we understand, lend money to themselves. This is a no-no. You cannot do that. And that is why we're asking the people in the diaspora, help us. Ask the ministers this question. Did you flaunt the law of the bank and take money from the bank that the law forbid you to take? Did the directors of the bank lend money to themselves? Ask these questions. You don't have to make Grenada fool. If you continue like that, we will be described in a not too distant future as a very corrupt country. And you will be ashamed. Already several members of the government are serving as agents in the CBI program. And based upon our own professional research, they're likely to make $30 million. Obviously, the government, the Prime Minister don't have much respect and faith in his members of cabinet. And he believes once he gives them money, then he could do them what they want. He doesn't realize you can't do that. Because they are human beings. Even though initially they will satisfy with you, later on they would start to think. And they would object and they would bring up resistance. So he feels he gave them a quantum of money that they can't refuse. We have hearing reports that members of the government have been accepting gifts. Very expensive gift. It's not your Valentine. Prime Minister can receive a gift in excess of 30,000. Nobody ain't give that for Valentine. Nobody ain't give her married. So what is the purpose of the gift? Then it could be well considered that it was given to you as a grease hand. So you could watch the other way. In other words, as a bribe. If the government receives gifts and rumors come about it and we ask, the government supposed to retire these gifts to the Integrity Commission and let the Integrity Commission make a decision whether they could keep it or not. Based upon the integrity law, public officers, senior public officers, and even from a very low rank, ought not to receive gifts from the public. If you're a teacher, you can't go and say the child father give you a goat. Why you give the goat for? For you to make the exam easy for the child? You're a public officer. Public officers of senior rank. You cannot accept gifts. That's the law. So if you have ministers of government accepting expensive gifts, the people in the diaspora ought to be concerned. Some of you have to ask the questions. Some of you have direct interaction and contact with the minister. Imagine the ambassador to the diaspora. That is Mr. Forrester. Nothing is wrong in him being an ambassador to the diaspora. He's a suited person. Nothing is wrong with that. But it must not appear that his main task is to raise funds for his political party. He ain't looking good. So the numerous acts of corruption or apparent corruption, the rumors, the speculation that's going on is not in the government interest. And we ask these questions and they don't answer, but they try to see how they could use intimidating tactics. And based upon our history, the government have to be real political neophytes to believe that could work. Can't work. Most of the individuals who are speaking, you can't intimidate them. A more will come. And that's why I always encourage retired public officers. I think they are the best to be the guardian of our democracy. Because they will be able to speak at the public service with some level of authority. Because they serve in it. And that is the challenge we have. Now, in the diaspora, again, find out from the government what is the policy on the money. This one is a very hopeful one, you know. You see, the National Democratic Congress have always been against this program. The best program that has been instituted in Grenada in the last 100 years to address the challenges of people to get a second chance and to make them more competitive on the job market. There is no other program in Grenada that have been instituted in the last 100 years that's better than that. Some other countries are doing that. The original idea behind this program, one could trace back communist countries for that. National service. These communist countries was one-party state. They know to have your majority of young people unemployed is trouble with capital T. So they employ them in the national service. And there was a paramilitary arm to help to brainwash them. But the idea in a communist country was good. You are one party state, your ideology, you believe everybody must be communist, Marxist, Leninism. You cannot leave all these young people unemployed. The Imani program was a beautiful idea. And over 3,000 people was employed in it. 80% of them perhaps women. So then government decided to start some other programs targeting males alone. And I thought that was fantastic. And they had another program targeting males in trouble. Don't know the name of it. But it involved young men who find themselves in the Dodge. They don't say the Dodge nowadays. They have another term for it. Can't remember. They have this place in Hope. Mama Can. They don't say the Dodge. Dodge is an old word. Or the police station. And try to help them. Now, if you have a government that is not interested in the unemployed people of lower ranks, and we have to get that in the head of people, the average person in Grenada have to understand that. If the majority of young men are unemployed, they want money, they want wife, they want woman, they want children, and they don't want money. Yes, caller, welcome. Welcome, caller.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good evening.
But if you're young, you want all the things what people have only want?
Say that again?
I say, if you're a young man, you unemployed, but you still want what other people have money want.
Mm-hmm.
You want we a woman, you want wife, you want car, you want job. Yes, my brother, go
Yes.
ahead.
First of all, I would like to say it was an honor to meet you for the first time Saturday evening in Victoria. Yeah, and you could have told me Sunday was your birthday, man. Happy belated birthday to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, yes, yes. I could have remembered with before NMP went out in 2008. They started the Grand Baccalaureate project with the juvenile center with the underage children who went it on the other side of the law, to bring them there to get counseling, guidance, and to grow up, changing the attitude, the lifestyle and stuff like that. Most of them was mostly men, young guys, young boys. They call it Juvenile Rehabilitation Center. Yeah, in 2008 to 2013, under Tillman Thomas administration, that project was stopped. And then I could remember the former Minister for Sports, Youth and Sports. He said, it is it is better you give the youngster a football than you send them than you're building a juvenile center for them. That's to tell you these people and them is not so interested in these things, in shaping young people, in shaping and developing, because people will go on the other side of the law. Young guys who was misguided, misled, whatever, and they go on the other side of the law. So this place, that facility was a visionary facility by the NNP government to bring back young men back to themselves, to get them responsible, train them, get them to be disciplined, change that direction of life which they was heading. Yeah. And then NLP came back in and they had us to start back that project. And it was so embarrassing to see with numerous projects that NLP left, they have to come back and restart it back. You understand? Even the daycare center and the public library and the library and thing in Victoria, we Dr. Modest left it, she have to come back and start it back over, break down what rotten and all that kind of a thing, all the wood and thing what rotten, and rebuild it back over, and and it was built back real nice and everything. And today it is well used. Yeah. So we Grenadians must see who is for who is for you, who is building you up, and who is tearing you down. For example, I was listening to Michelle Obama, and she gave a very powerful speech. And who is there to help lift you up? Don't beat down on people, and use the beat down to build up yourself. Esteem yourself, and look out for a politician what will help lift you up, not to bully you down, not to tear you down, not to leave you down there, but to uplift your standard of living. And that's what the NNP was doing to Grenadians. Yeah, helping them to get a scholarship, helping them to gain a skill, young men, the Empowered program, the Project Rich, the Project Fly. When they see enough men is not going on to the Imani, they see 80% was ladies. That is why they bring this project to help the young men. And they was going good. Was it perfect? No. They could have improved on the program if they see it a need to be improved. And they choose not to improve on the program. They squash the program, and look what's going on with young men today. And now you want to give young men 40 and 50 and 60 years, the draconian sentences you want to bring in for young men. Okay, you're bringing the gun amnesty. Now, what are the programs you have in place? I could have remember when Emmeline Pierre was a senator, and even when she was pregnant, belly big in her nose, she was going into the communities, the Karanaj, the way, and engaging young men, and then let them stand a peace treaty as a peace treaty to bring the young men together and to bring things together, bring programs, educate them, sensitize them, empower them. This kind of thing where tongue can go in grandmas and grandmas can come in tongue and St. Davis can go in and Jews and Jews can go in and all these things. She engaged. So it's not just putting law in place and putting that you have to do these type of things to empower, to encourage, to get rid of this badness outer style program. And when it is coming back now, it is already back. So government now have to get down to the high horse. The minister for youth, whoever you are, get down from the high horse. Go into the communities, engage them, young man, hear them, hear they cry, hear they complain, hear their situation, and then see what you can do to help these guys and them, to empower these guys and them, to motivate these guys on the positive side. Yeah, because we are seeing a trend, and when you hear these guys didn't get influence, negative influence, down that road they will go. And when you see the top is not respecting the law of Grenada, not respecting even the law enforcement. You see, government minister will cost police, cost water, but it starts from you. You pay job to cost police, cost Nicholas, cost the police, cost Kit Mitchell, cost. You pay these guys and to do. So when you do these things now, it will be very difficult for you to go and tell them what you want to tell them at the same time. So you see, they do that now, not realizing that one day they will be in their position. And I could have remember Miss Jenny Simon was saying that, look at what Glenwell said. Glenwell said, no, we're going to the protest and the demonstration and thing today. We might not know, we might be in the same position tomorrow, and that might come back and bite us. And that is what she said. And you see things happening today. It's like you will do any and everything just for political mileage, and then at the end, what's up country? Yeah. Are you not hurting the country? You don't care about this country? Yeah. So I think the government can defend direction, think positive, and get proper guidance on the way forward. Have a good evening, Mr.
Yes, as you spoke about Emmeline Pierre and pregnancy. Now, pregnancy is a normal physiological phenomenon. When you're pregnant, it don't mean you're sick. And pregnancy is a gift from God. So when a woman pregnant, she must feel good. It's a gift from God. And she answered the call, yes. And we have to applaud her and support pro-choice, pro-life. Pro-life, there's organization that say pro-choice. You could abort your child. No. There are times women are pregnant and they don't feel good, or they're sick, or they have to be bedridden. But generally, women are pregnant and could be able to move around the place with limitation. And we must do everything to highly appreciate them. Just as all the angels in heaven rejoice when a born, the angels dance, fete in heaven, say this son of the soil born. They're happy. So we must encourage our daughters and our wives and our women to make children. And encourage the boys to get up and get. And government of the day must facilitate the process. You facilitated the process for those who are able to go on to tertiary education. Master's, bachelor's degree, diploma of higher learning is very important in the society. But you must not abandon the weak. You're a shepherd. You can't feed only yourself. Those of you who read the Bible tells you that. You can't feed yourself alone. You have to feed the weak. You have to try to make them strong. And that's why we ask the people in the diaspora, ask the government, what is the policy on the money program? Some of the hardest group of people to find a job is women between 35 and 60. That is the age when some of them start to take on their own grandchildren. In that period, government has extended the age of youth to 39 to facilitate a number of these women. And from day one, the NDC is hostile against the Imani program. You remember in 2008, 2013, they promised these people they will raise the money to $1,000. They tell them, you all are like with children, we love you. We won't fire you, and then they fire them. In this period, the people who was making over $1,000, some of them was working for $1,300 and something dollars. Because they do CV1, CVQ, or CV3 or what. I don't know what CV they use. But every time they do a CV, they give them some more money as encouragement. But because of the downturn in the economy from COVID-19 and the hotel extension program was slowed down, a lot of them didn't move on to get alternative jobs. Now the government is firing those over 35. Well, where they get this heartless group of individuals? And it's not because the government don't have money. The government spending millions of dollars to put up light, millions of dollars to pay bills that they were not legally entitled to pay, millions to put up their picture on place, thousands of dollars to pay the minister to work with you. Now you want to put these women over 35 out of a job. It's the hardest group of people to find a job in Grenada is women between 35 and 60. You have a number of women now doing security in the night. What happened to their children? When women have to leave 2, 3 children in their home and go and do security in the night, what is going to happen to their children? Some of them are straight man. Some of them might have a visiting man. Now this government is so insensitive that it bleeds my heart to know so much a moderate NDC is silent. I mean, I didn't expect much from Deacon. Very early I realized we're dealing with a fake. But what happened to the other members of the National Democratic Congress? You who we might consider as moderates, and I know would have never done that. How come you are so silent? What happened to the trade union leaders? I know the Imanis, you don't care about them. I know that. You never like them. You never like the program. But after all these years, you want to send the people between over 35 home? What is the justification? You know, there's so much questions to ask. The government is not answering, so we are trying to get our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to help. Because if you don't, you're going to have more social decadence in this country. You're going to have more crime. You could expand the prison. You could pass draconian laws. The government policy is contributing to the increase in crime. The upsurge in crime in Grenada was as a direct response to the Prime Minister, the Minister of Legal Affairs, and some of his other ministers' action. The upsurge in crime was as a direct response to their attitude. And all they had to do was to change their attitude, redraw technically some of the statements they make, apologize and move on. But they didn't do that because they're so arrogant they can't do that. Instead of that, more of the ministers now cussing the police. You undermining the authority of the law. You undermining the authority of the police. Nothing unsuspecting young people on the edge of the law wants. All they need is encouragement, and the copycat and show-off mentality starts. If the minister could curse the police, then I could do that too. If the prime minister could make movie with weed in the police present, then weed is legalized. Police can do us nothing. That is their thinking. And the government ought to know that. So we constantly address these issues. We try on our program to stick with the truth, to address issues more of a policy nature rather than personal mistakes. There will always be blunders and mistakes made by politicians, so we don't dwell on them too much, but we look at what seems to be a pattern, what seems to be discussed and play out. And when you have the Prime Minister of Grenada making movie with what seems like an illegal substance in the presence of the police in a private individual premises, then that is not a good thing. When you have the Attorney General imitating Jamaican bad boy and jumping up on one leg as if all them hormone in your body get away and saying shoot Babylon, bobo, that is not a good thing. When you have the Minister of Clerical Affairs lambasting the police, cursing the police and insulting the police, that is not a good thing. When the Minister of Clerical Affairs threatened to transfer the police, and you see immediately the police is transferred, that is not a good thing. When the minister that traveled 24 times in 23 months, challenging the police in a public way, and the police have to back down because they don't want, and they did the right thing, they don't want more confrontation, and go to higher authorities, that is not a good thing. When the government of the day sees the people as classless and commoners, that is not a good thing. When the Minister of Foreign Affairs see bad people and good people in the constituency, that is not a good thing. When the Minister of Agriculture see lunatics and idiots, that is not a good thing. And you see the pattern. You see these utterance, these expressions, and the pattern. And you will constantly hear me speak about that rather than individual blunders made by government. We always have to thank you for participating in our program. We encourage you to share the program and discuss the issues. If you have any issue with what we say, discuss it. Discuss it among ourselves. We have a democratic process and we must learn to respect one another, be tolerant with one another. We don't have to agree with one another, but we will strengthen our democracy if we respect one another. And anything I say here that you believe is not the truth, then I welcome you to ask me question about it or challenge it. Or if I give an opinion, and opinions are not facts, they are people's opinion. And if I give an opinion and you take issue with the opinion and you have new information, I change in the opinion. Or I could explain to you why I say what I said. We have to do more in the Caribbean to to keep the level of violence down. And I constantly again encourage our young men, you don't have to come afoul of the law. It's not necessary. Let us respect our elders, our women, our children. The level of obscenities that is being used in our women present is unacceptable. And even you women, some of you are cussing worse than man now. So we have to encourage you to stop. And we always want to thank Real FM, a radio station that has been there and continue to encourage people, even us on the program, to be as respectable as possible to our politicians, because they are our politicians. And we want them to change. You know, we are not here to trash them. Politicians make enough mistakes to go after them, but we want them to change. You know, we had a reading, I think I'll just read this on the, Deacon said today that people who have insurance and need to bill back and who have money. So Deacon Pass was, you know, we have to concentrate on the people who don't have money, but how many houses that are insured in Carriacou? What percentage of the houses are destroyed that have been insured? And the government paid insurance. That means all of us paid insurance. So, Deacon, you have to perhaps, I beg Dennis Cornwall, I beg Ray Roberts and Richard Duncan and them to help you, because you're on the wrong trajectory, and the area you're going there going to bring us in a messy abyss. Or according to the Minister of Legal Affairs, we may well end up in an area where we bring irreparable damage to our public. Thank you very much.
Informative, entertaining, and first. Every hour on the hour.